Hey Marcus. You know how we just navigate through life, right? And sometimes it feels like there are these invisible rules everywhere, like that just guide everything we do, every single interaction?
Totally, Nora. That's actually like spot on for what I was thinking about today. We're delving into societal norms, you know? They're these almost like invisible frameworks that really truly shape our interactions within what we call a civilized society. I mean, you walk into any room, any social gathering, any public space, and there's almost this like immediate, unspoken understanding of how you're supposed to behave, what's considered acceptable, what's not, right? It's kind of wild when you stop and just truly think about it, how ingrained it all is.
Right. Like, we tend to convince ourselves that these norms are always beneficial, don't we? Because they do bring some semblance of order, some predictability, I guess. But sometimes they feel a little stifling, a bit restrictive, you know what I mean? Like, the benefits we tell ourselves, they're not always universally experienced or even universally positive for everyone.
Precisely, and that's the kicker, isn't it? Every single nation around the globe, every distinct culture, they've got their own unique blend of these norms, right? Influenced by political beliefs, deeply held religious beliefs, all sorts of intertwined factors. So what's like perfectly normal or expected in one place is totally foreign, maybe even rude somewhere else. It's not just this blanket set of universal rules. It's incredibly nuanced, incredibly varied. And that variation, it's fascinating, but it also creates a lot of, well, friction and misunderstanding sometimes between different groups.
That's exactly what I was going to ask next. Like, if these norms are so specific to different places, then who actually makes these rules? Who decides what's truly okay and what's absolutely not okay? Is it like a top-down thing, from governments or religious leaders? Or is it something that just organically grows from the ground up?
That's a really good probing question, Nora, and it's often a blend of both, honestly. I mean, sometimes you have like very explicit political ideologies, right? Or clear religious doctrines, which, they clearly lay down certain expectations for behavior and morality. But then there are also these much more unspoken agreements, these subtle cues that just sort of like evolve within communities over time. It's not always a single identifiable rule maker, you know? It's more of a collective, often unconscious agreement that's passed down. But the thing is, those who don't really recognize the potential negativity or the downsides of these norms, they tend to be the most vocal in defending them, almost vehemently.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like, if you dare to question it, you're immediately labeled as out of line or a troublemaker or something equally dismissive. I've seen that so many times. It's like you're just supposed to accept it, no questions asked, or you face this huge, often very public backlash.
Exactly. And that backlash, it really discourages people from being authentic, doesn't it? It's like just fit in, don't rock the boat, don't stir things up. And that pressure to conform, it can feel incredibly heavy, like a huge weight. It manifests so differently depending on someone's personal background, their specific geographical location, even their unique family upbringing. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of pressure, which, makes it even more complex to navigate for individuals.
It's wild. We all, like, intellectually, we're aware of the pros and cons of these norms. We can articulate them in a discussion, but when it comes down to actually deviating from them in real life, the societal pushback can be so incredibly intense, so personal. It's like you understand the theory, but the lived reality is way harder to deal with.
Yeah, totally. And you touched on something really important there, Nora, the intellectual understanding versus the raw lived experience. Because these norms, they're not just like random arbitrary rules, right? They're deeply intertwined with things like political ideologies, deeply ingrained financial perspectives, strong religious beliefs. all these really fundamental, foundational parts of our society. So when someone steps outside of that accepted framework, it's not just, oh, they're breaking a small, inconsequential rule. It can feel like they're challenging the very fabric of what people believe holds their entire world together.
So it essentially creates this kind of herd mentality where everyone's just expected to fall in line, to stay in lockstep, and if you don't, then what? You're exiled? You're ostracized? It just sounds so incredibly stifling, especially for someone who, genuinely wants to be themselves, to express their unique identity.
Absolutely. A herd mentality is a perfect way to put it. Conformity becomes not just preferred, but absolutely expected. And while sure, social norms can be beneficial for some, they provide a sense of belonging, a shared framework, a common language, they can also seriously stifle individuality. People feel trapped in a box, truly unable to express their true selves. It's heartbreaking, really, because if someone can't easily categorize you, if you don't fit neatly into a predefined slot, then you really do risk being marginalized, even if you're just being authentically, genuinely you.
That's so true. I mean, it really highlights that clear distinction between, our public behavior and our private selves. What we present to the world versus who we really, truly are when no one's watching, when we're just with ourselves. It makes you wonder, is this public persona really just a social norm we're adhering to? Or is it a true, authentic expression of your deepest self?
Exactly, Nora. And that's where it gets really complex, isn't it? Because for many of us, it's like we just naturally don a mask, right? A social mask, almost instinctively, to please others, to navigate social situations smoothly, to avoid any friction. And it's not always a bad thing, It's important, absolutely important, to present ourselves respectfully. That's an expected behavior for most, and it helps maintain a certain level of order and general pleasantness in daily interactions, at work, with strangers.
But then, what if that mask becomes, the dominant thing? It just takes over, and you start to forget who you are underneath it. And you're just living purely for other people's expectations? Just constantly performing?
Yeah, that's the real danger, the absolutely profound danger. Because while sure, presenting yourself respectfully is an expected common courtesy, some individuals, they might display a much darker side behind that mask, or just a completely different self that they feel they absolutely have to hide from the world. But that's probably a topic for a completely different podcast, actually, a much darker one. For now, let's stick to the everyday masks, the ones we wear just to fit in, to avoid judgment, It's all about navigating that incredibly delicate tightrope between politeness, social expectation, and genuine, authentic expression.
It's so interesting how this plays out globally, too. What's perfectly normal here in the US could be super offensive, deeply inappropriate somewhere else. Just thinking about, simple things. Body language, how you gesture, even personal space, right?
Oh, absolutely, Nora. Globally, social norms, they can sometimes clash so dramatically, so profoundly with one another. And it's not just big, obvious cultural differences, It's often the little, subtle stuff that catches people out, like the specific use of colloquial language, slang expressions. What's perfectly acceptable and totally understandable among friends in one culture might not align at all with the expectations of others in a different cultural context, especially when you cross international boundaries.
So if you just use a bit of slang you're completely used to, you could inadvertently cause a huge problem, totally unintentionally without even realizing it?
Precisely. And nonconformity to these often unwritten but very rigid social standards, it can lead to immediate, sometimes very harsh social judgment. People might perceive you as rude, uneducated, or even downright disrespectful, even if your intentions were completely pure, completely innocent, And it's not just about language. It's everything from like how you greet someone to how you eat your meal to how you dress for different occasions. The list just goes on and on, really. It's like a social minefield if you're not acutely aware of the local customs and expectations.
Wow, that makes it really, really hard to just be yourself then. If you're constantly worrying about offending someone just by, like, existing in your normal, everyday way, it sounds exhausting, honestly.
It really does, doesn't it? It adds another incredibly thick layer to that pressure we were talking about earlier, that relentless need to constantly adapt, even when it feels like you're losing a little piece of yourself in the process every single time.
So, what's the absolute core issue here then, Marcus? If, like, being yourself can lead to immediate judgment, and these norms vary so incredibly much across the board, where's the real fundamental problem, do you think? The root of it all?
That's the million-dollar question, Nora, and it really gets to the heart of it. Fundamentally, this shouldn't even be an issue, right? Because the real problem, the deepest problem, lies in the widespread lack of genuine respect for different perspectives. It's not necessarily that the norm itself exists, it's how we react, how we instantly judge when someone doesn't neatly fit into it. If we approach differences with genuine curiosity and deep respect, then someone's non-conformity wouldn't be seen as an affront, as a personal attack.
You mean, like, instead of immediately judging, instead of shutting down, we should actively try to understand why someone might do things differently, to actually empathize?
Exactly. But instead, what happens is there's frequently this knee-jerk resistance from other cultures, and even within the same culture, really, when someone dares to deviate. And that resistance, it often stems from a place of not understanding, or just, frankly, not caring enough to understand. And that's where the breakdown truly, fundamentally happens. It's like, my way is the right way, the only way, and anything else is inferior or just plain wrong. No exceptions.
Yeah, I totally see that. So it's not the norm itself that's always inherently bad. It's the absolute lack of acceptance and open-mindedness for anything that exists outside of that very narrow norm.
Precisely. It leaves so many people genuinely wandering through life without a true, authentic understanding of themselves because they are just too preoccupied, too consumed with trying to live up to others' expectations, instead of just truly embracing who they are at their core. It's a tragedy, actually, a real loss, because authenticity is, it's like our most valuable, irreplaceable currency in this life.
So if we're constantly trying to fit in, constantly trying to meet these external expectations, we're basically slowly losing ourselves in the process, right? It's incredibly hard to even know who you truly are if you're always performing for someone else's approval, always putting on a show.
That's pretty much it, Nora. Absolutely. The pressure to conform, it can be so profoundly overwhelming that people genuinely lose touch with their core identity, with their very essence. They're so busy trying to tick all the boxes of what society or their family or their peers expect from them that they don't take the necessary time to really deeply explore who they are, what they truly believe, what they genuinely want for their own lives. It's like living someone else's entire script, rather than writing your own.
And then you just end up feeling completely unfulfilled, empty even, despite checking off all the successful boxes according to everyone else's standards, right? It's such a hollow victory.
Totally. Because ultimately, the importance of being authentic, of truly embracing who you are, is paramount. It's the absolute foundation for genuine happiness, for real contentment, and for true fulfillment in life. When you're constantly molding yourself to fit someone else's narrow idea of what's right or good, you're essentially, you're denying your own unique voice, your own unique contribution to the world. And that's such a profound loss, not just for the individual, but for everyone around them. Imagine a world where everyone felt completely free to be their genuine self, without constant fear of judgment or marginalization. It'd be, it'd be a lot more vibrant, a lot more colorful, wouldn't it? A much richer experience for us all.
So how do we, even begin to peel back those layers then? How do we find that actual freedom to be ourselves when these norms are just so deeply ingrained, so pervasive, everywhere we look, in every aspect of our lives?
That's the journey, isn't it? It really truly starts with self-awareness, Nora. Like seriously taking the time, dedicating energy to understand your own deeply held values, your core beliefs, your passions, completely independent of what others expect from you. It's about consciously challenging those shoulds and musts that we've all internalized from society, from media, from everything around us. And it's not easy, you know? It requires immense courage because there will always be people who don't understand or who might even criticize or even outright reject you for it.
Yeah, that's the hard part, Marcus. The criticism, the potential rejection. But I guess if you're truly happier being yourself, truly living authentically, then it's absolutely worth it in the long run.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that while social structures provide a necessary framework for society to function, they absolutely shouldn't dictate your soul, your spirit. It's about building a respectful framework around you, within your own life and in your interactions, where individuality is not just tolerated, but truly celebrated, where people can truly express their true selves without feeling trapped in some predefined box. It comes down to fostering a broader culture of mutual respect, not just passive tolerance, but genuine, active respect for the diverse ways people choose to live and express themselves. It's a bigger societal shift, sure, but it absolutely starts with each one of us making that conscious choice to value authenticity, both in ourselves and, crucially, in others. That's where true progress, true human connection truly lies, I think.
So it sounds like, Marcus, this isn't just about individual happiness, right? Like, if more people were authentic, it could actually have a positive ripple effect on society as a whole.
Absolutely, Nora. You've hit the nail on the head there. When individuals feel empowered to be their true selves, without that constant fear of judgment or marginalization, it actually enriches the entire collective. Think about it. Authenticity fosters innovation, creativity, and a much wider range of perspectives because people aren't holding back their unique thoughts or ideas just to fit into a mold.
Yeah, like diversity of thought, right? If everyone's trying to be the same, then you lose out on so much potential for new ideas and growth.
Precisely. And when people aren't spending all their energy on pretending or maintaining a facade, they have more mental and emotional bandwidth for genuine connection, for empathy, for contributing positively to their communities. It leads to more trusting relationships, both personal and professional. It's like when you embrace your own unique identity, you inadvertently give others permission to embrace theirs too. It breaks down those invisible barriers of expectation that we all carry. It's a pathway to a much more tolerant, a much more understanding, and ultimately, a much more genuinely connected society. That's the real potential here, I think.
So, Marcus, picking up on those invisible barriers, it's fascinating how drastically these invisible walls shift from country to country. It's not just a subtle difference, it can be a completely different ballgame globally.
Absolutely, Nora. Each nation's norms are like unique threads of its cultural tapestry. They provide a powerful sense of national identity and streamline daily interactions, offering clear guidelines. This internal coherence is undoubtedly a significant pro for a society.
But that same coherence can become a huge con internationally, can't it? What's polite in Japan, like a deep bow, might seem odd in the West. Or our directness, valued here, could be really offensive in cultures prioritizing indirect communication and saving face.
Precisely. The challenge lies in navigating these stark differences without unintentional offense or deep misunderstanding. While norms offer internal order, their global divergence leads to friction and misjudgment if not approached with cultural intelligence and profound respect, as we've stressed.
So, Marcus, we've talked so much about these invisible rules, these global norms, and how they can box us in, right? It feels like we're constantly fighting against something just to exist authentically.
Indeed, Nora. And that's precisely where the critical choice emerges for each of us. Do we allow external expectations to define us, to sculpt who we become? Or do we consciously, courageously choose to embrace our inherent potential and define ourselves?
That's such a powerful distinction, because choosing to be who you're meant to be rather than what society wants you to be takes incredible guts. It means potentially swimming against the current.
Absolutely. But that choice, that deliberate pivot toward your authentic self, is where true fulfillment and genuine societal contribution lie. It's about recognizing that your full potential is unlocked when you align with your intrinsic values, not someone else's script.
So it's not just about personal happiness, but about contributing something unique, something real to the world?
Precisely. It's the difference between merely existing within boundaries and truly living to your highest, most impactful capabilities. A decision that ultimately shapes not only your life, but potentially inspires countless others.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. I'm your Nora Adams with my co-host, Marcus Thompson. There is more coming your way.
Indeed, Nora. And as we've explored the profound power of defining our own path, it's clear that this journey of authenticity doesn't end with a single choice. It's a continuous, evolving process.
Exactly. It's not a finish line, it's a lifestyle. Every day is a chance to peel back another layer and really own who you are, despite the invisible rules.
Precisely. Embracing one's true self is an ongoing commitment, a daily act of courage that cultivates deeper fulfillment and contributes meaningfully to a more accepting society. We've just scratched the surface of its impact.
And that's why you absolutely don't want to miss what we have lined up next, because understanding these dynamics is just the start.